And now it's time to put the glue on. Now the way I interpreted the original instructions was that we would put the glue on this flat surface, on the flat part of the rail. And that's what I did the very first time. But I found that then when you have to go to pick it up and you have to manipulate it, turn it around and get it in position, you end up getting glue on your fingers, which then distracts your attention, and you don't necessarily get things down, and you can't use the fingers that already have the glue on them because you're going to stick to things, and it just causes problems. So on this round, I did something different. I went ahead and just placed glue on the flat surface of this rail. Now maybe that's what was intended originally. I just didn't originally read it that way. So before I put the glue on, I'm going to practice. And what I would do is figure out, okay, here's the way I'm going to lay it down. Once the glue's there, I'm going to visually get this down here, and I'm going to feel where that groove is that I made, and then I'm going to lay this down, slide it back and forth just a time or two, and I can feel it hit the mark. And then we're just going to practice how I'm going to hold it on here. Here's why you want to practice. It's real easy the first time you go to do this to grab it and say, I'm going to squeeze that in really hard, and there it goes. It slips right off. Now you got glue everywhere. You got to pick it up. Again, you're going to get it all over your fingers. You're going to get it on your work, and it's going to be difficult to deal with. So you want to practice being able to hold this down, and I move back and forth. Still did it by moving the rail. I move back and forth throughout the entire rail for the 30 or 40 seconds or a minute. I actually went about a minute and a half, making sure that everything was in place. And I just keep practicing that until you can do that for 30 seconds or so, or a little bit longer, without it snapping off. In other words, you found a way to hold it so that it doesn't come loose. And you just keep working your way on it. Okay, I think I've got it there. Okay, so then we turn it. I just flip it down like this. Open up the glue and run my wavy bead all along here, just on the one surface. And I do that all the way, starting from just to the left of the left mark and go to the just barely to the right of the right mark. The reason for that is that way you get the very ends glued down as well. So let's assume I'm doing that, getting a good bead on there. I pick this up and then just feel my way up to the mark, and then bring it down and begin that same motion that I had before. However it feels most comfortable to your hand to be able to get it in, and check visually a time or two to make sure that you didn't slide off there in the first few seconds, so that you can reposition it if necessary. And you just keep going. And once that's all done, I let it set for about 2, maybe 3 minutes. I did take my my calipers at that point and very gently measured from here to here, and then through this, from on the end, in the center, and on the other end, just to make sure that there wasn't anything obviously wrong. I certainly didn't want to put pressure on it to make it move out of position. But just as a quick little check, and then set the calipers aside. After several more minutes of letting that just sit, I was then able to turn it around and essentially do the same thing with the other side. Again, put down your bead of glue, make sure everything's in position, and do it. When you're all done, by the way, these marks that are here, those just all come off with acetone really nice, so you're certainly not making any permanent marks on there. When you're all done and you have both of them in position, I would then just set it aside. That's the way I did it, set it aside for 24 hours or so. I did come back about 10 minutes later and again use the calipers to verify with both rails on there where I was at, and I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on there. I was just taking the best reading I could, and it seemed like they were really, really good numbers. So given that, I have real high hopes for the way this is going to turn out, and we'll see tomorrow when we put it on, or when we can get a little closer measurement, and I'm sure when we put it on it's going to be way better than what we had. If anybody has any questions about how I put this on, something that wasn't obvious or something that I may have skipped over, let me know. If you have a better way, certainly let us know that as well. Thanks a lot.